Hi all, so I've kind of been running out of ideas on what to film. I'm going to be doing little videos, so for example this one is going to be 50 facts about me, some interesting, some not so interesting. I'm Turkish, as some of you are aware, but I normally get different types of like Middle Eastern, sometimes Spanish, but I only get Spanish when I speak Spanish. So I have 2 dogs and a cat. Not a lot of people hear about my cat. He's about 14 years old. His name is Jinxie. Again, he's all black with a bit of white fluff at the front. I have a degree. It is in photography, but I have a degree. I'm only allergic to 2 things: honey and mushrooms. So please don't try to feed me honey and mushrooms. My mum, up until like recently, still refused to believe that I was allergic to honey until the doctors had to tell her that I was allergic to honey. My favourite film is Fight Club. I've watched it countless times. I've written essays on it. We started studying it when I was in 6th form for film studies, and I just fell in love with the film. I just love it so much. You learn something new about the film every time you watch it. My favourite song is Wild World by Cat Stevens. I'm obsessed with it. I am accident prone. I always injure myself. Every holiday something will happen to me. I've broken my leg, I've cracked like several parts of my body, I busted my eyebrow. Like, I always fall down or something happens or I slip. Like, God, I've ruined so many, like I ruined a really nice sequin dress because I slipped into like a watered area, like, you know, when like hotels and stuff when they like have the sprinklers on at night. So I slipped and fell in that and like skid all the way towards where like the stairs were, and my friends had to come like stop me and hold me. But I ruined my dress from that, which was one of my favourite dresses. I'm always falling or cutting myself. Like at work, something will happen, Tammy will hear a noise and then she'll just yell at me like, say it, and I'll have to be like, oh, I'm okay. Otherwise, like, she'll come check on me. Like, what happened once? Oh, I didn't do anything myself. I shut the door and everything behind the door fell and it made like the biggest noise. And obviously at that time I couldn't yell at her to say I'm okay. And I finally opened the door and she was just stood there like, oh my God, what's happened? And I was like, oh no, don't worry about it. Just some things fell. And then, you know, I ended up trying to fix things and then I cut my hands. And yeah, I'm always getting hurt. But I go to Turkey every year. I think since I was born I've gone every summer, well, near enough every summer. If I don't go in the summer, I go at another part in the year. I'm dyslexic and dyspraxic, which kind of, I mean, makes sense about me falling down and hurt myself all the time. But I only found this out when I was at uni. I used to work in the Shard, in a patent and trademark. That was my like first office job. It was great. There was a lot of security, but it felt like telling people that you worked in the Shard just sounded so great, because everyone knew what it was. But I'd say my favourite job was working in a toy shop. I think it must be my first paid job when I was like 16, I think I was. I worked in a toy store and I used to be able to take toys home, test them, play with them, then go back in on the weekend and play with kids that wanted to buy the toys. And it was amazing. It was so much fun. So every day, without a doubt, I go on BuzzFeed. I would read articles, but I do a lot of quizzes. The most pointless quizzes ever. My favourite place is in Budapest. It's called Hill. I can't pronounce it correctly. And it's a peak in Budapest. Basically, it's near one of the spas and it's about a 45-minute to hour and a half climb up. I can play piano. I started learning when I was, again, in primary school. I was very young. I think I was in like year 3. I can't sing at all. No tone, no range. There's not like, it's what you hear now is even better than how I am when I sing. Like, to the point where people will turn up the radio to like not hear me. I am a really good swimmer. I've been swimming since I was a little kid, really, really small. Like in year 5, when you go to have swimming lessons with your school, I didn't really have the lessons. I just did my own thing because I'd already gotten all those badges, I'd already passed that, so I just did diving. But I love swimming. I love it so much. I hate swimming in shallow waters. Like, I like swimming in the sea, but shallow waters really scare me. I don't like the fish and seeing the ground, which is weird because people freak out when they can't see what's under them, but I prefer that. because that means that everything that's under you is like quite far down under you, there's nothing near you. I went to university in Cornwall. My second option was New Zealand, so you know, Cornwall was a lot closer to London. I dye my hair every few weeks. I have so many greys that it's ridiculous. Some people think I exaggerate, but when I leave it about a month, like people will be like, oh, hun, you've got some greys in your hair. And I'm like, yeah, no, I know. I can speak fluent Turkish, fluent English, conversational Spanish, and basic Russian. I can't read Russian, nor can I write Russian. I can understand it more than I can speak it, but they're still there for when I need it. I'm quite an old soul, as you guys are aware. So I learnt to knit when I was a little kid, knitting scarves and everything like that, and last year I knitted a jumper. I love Wales. I love Wales. If I talk about Wales too much, I end up crying because I get really overwhelmed. I have a little whale behind me. He's in some of the videos as well. But yeah, I love Wales. I don't think I'm ready to see one yet. I think I'll get too overwhelmed and I will cry a lot. So I think in the next couple of years, I'll get used to it and then maybe go to Norway and maybe see a whale. But right now, I don't think I'm there yet. Yeah. I only recently got my second piercing in this ear, and that is only because my little cousin, a little child, wanted to get theirs done, and I thought, you know what, take one for the team, show her it doesn't hurt. I used to be really into interior design. I wanted to do that when I was a bit younger. I just never did. Like, I would spend hours on The Sims just making the house, making it beautiful, and then not playing the game. I never was really intrigued by the game, it was just the whole making the house amazing. I redecorated this room, and this, I don't know if you can see it, there's a piece behind me which I think is my favourite part of the whole house basically, and it's just two pots of plants hanging and then a clothes rail that's hanging also with some industrial shelves under it. I just think it looks really nice. Basically, I am really into interior design. I just can't wait to like do up a whole house myself, but for that I need money. I am an only child, kind of. Well, I am an only child, but I grew up with my cousin, so she was like a sister to me. Weirdly enough though, her brother isn't like a brother to me, her brother is my cousin, whereas she's like a sister to me. I have a huge family, huge. I haven't met them all, like by that I mean like my dad's sisters and brothers, like I haven't met them all. My dad is the youngest that we know of out of the group of them, and they live in Turkey, they live in Germany, they live in New Zealand, like they're all over. My mum, on the other hand, she's quite smaller. They're 5 siblings, so I've met all the siblings, but my granddad on my mum's side is a lot of siblings, and I haven't met all of them. But like Turkish families, they're quite close, so even like in my old house we used to have family round and there'd be like 40 people when you had like a family meal, and it was ridiculous. Like, it was just, there's so many of us. Like, I'd go to weddings and bump into someone, they'd be like, oh hi, I'm your cousin, and I wouldn't have to like second guess it because they probably are my cousin, like somehow related to them. So we're everywhere. I pretty much feel like I'm related to any Turkish person that's in London. We've just spread basically. And everyone knows my dad, so either like we're distant relatives or there's a lot of us. We're a huge family, and it's good in a way because if I go to another country I can just stay at theirs. My favourite drink is water. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it actually is. Like, if I'm thirsty, nothing will quench my thirst. Like, I can have juice, I can have Coke, I can have anything, but I'll still be thirsty because I would not have had water. I can't ride a bike. I tried to learn, I guess, when I was younger, just didn't succeed. I had a bike and I was getting into the swing of things and we were taking the wheels off, and I remember this specifically because I was really annoyed. My cousin was like, I can ride a bike, let me show you, and she got on it and she broke the bike because she fell and something happened, and then I couldn't ride that bike. I prefer the American office to the UK one. I know that's a really unpopular opinion, but I think the American office is on like a whole other level, basically. It's great. I can probably quote word for word the whole of the What We Do in the Shadows movie. Basically, if you haven't seen it, it's a Kiwi mockumentary about vampires that have a house share. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it is hilarious. And like, it's made by the same guys that did Flight of the Conchords and stuff like that. So if you're into films like that, give it a shot. I have a fear of butterflies, which may seem strange, but I just, I can't even talk about them. They're horrible. They're just the way they fly and just, ugh, no. I'm quite close to my cousins. Like I know people that are like, they're like, oh yeah, I have a cousin, they live so and so, I don't really know much about them, but like my cousins, like I've mentioned before, like they're like my siblings basically. Yeah, we don't see each other all the time, but like I know what's going on in their lives. Like we're quite close. Like I think I'm probably gonna see one today, tomorrow, whenever. Yeah, always on the phone to them, always making sure everyone's alright. But yeah, they're like, well, one of them at least is like my sister. I really like listening to vinyls, and my first vinyl was Sean Paul. Yeah, you wouldn't think that they'd make a vinyl with him. When I was younger, the first job I ever wanted when I was younger was to be a train conductor. Not like a fancy schmancy train, just like the normal, like National Rail. I played basketball when I was like, oh god, I was like tiny, up until like secondary school. Played basketball every weekend. I think that's kind of what kind of helped me grow so tall as well. Like I get it, my dad's tall, but like everyone else in my family's quite short. So yeah, played basketball, never really any good at it. I still stuck to it and I still played. When I was younger as well, I did a lot when I was younger. Like I think when my parents were always like busy working and stuff, I always had something to do, somewhere to go, something to do. So I was in theatre school, so I was in shows and drama, tap, jazz, I think I did a bit of ballet, just a bit of everything. I was just like in a theatre school basically. As I mentioned before, Fight Club was my favourite film, and for some reason, whatever project I did at uni, like in every assignment, I referenced it. I found a way to fit it into every single assignment, and after a while it became a thing. I was like, look, fine, I'm doing enough, like my dissertation's on perception of beauty, but let's get Fight Club into this. I don't remember how I fit it in, but yeah, everything. I find it really difficult to say the word thief. I can't say the word otter without sounding posh, and I don't know where this came from. I avoid all films to do with animals. The last film I watched that was to do with animals, apart from like Finding Nemo, because that's okay, that's not like real animals, it's CGI. But the last film I watched with animals was Marley and Me, and I refuse to watch another film where animals die. And like I said before, I have family all over the world. Like I think nearly every continent, I guess. We're everywhere. Even if they're like distant relatives, you can literally just call them up or find a way to message them and be like, hey, can I come stay? I'm so-and-so's daughter. And they're like, yeah, sure, come along, bring a friend, it's fine. I hate the smell of coffee. I love getting lost in cities. Take me to any like main city and just leave me in the middle. I cry a lot. Not from being sad or anything, but like I said, like in films, in TV shows, like when I'm reading, if something's too cute, if something's a bit sad, like a kid singing a song, like I know it used to be like this. I watched Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium, and from then onwards I just cried at everything. My pinkies don't connect to my other fingers, so I don't know if any of you have noticed this before, but they're always like this. You can push them, but this is my hands naturally, like they're so far away from each other, they just don't want to be with these guys. My wisdom teeth came out, don't know when, but I didn't feel them at all. I was at the dentist getting a filling done, and I knew it was a stupid question, but I was like, hey, how are my wisdom teeth doing? Like, are they gonna come out soon? Because like all my friends have been going through it and they were going through so much pain. I was like petrified. And she just looked at me like, what are you talking about? Like, they've all come through, like they're all fine. And I know I shouldn't brag about it, but I was really happy. Like, I was really like terrified of it, because I hate the dentist. I hate it so much. I'm terrified whenever they come near my mouth, because then I'm like really conscious. I'm like, what do I do with my tongue? Where do I put my tongue? How do I breathe? Can I breathe through my mouth? No, I can't. Like, what's going on? Final one. It's not that interesting of a fact, but to me, all tea tastes the same. And I think this is because when I was younger, I went to bed with a bottle of water, a bottle of milk and a bottle of tea. like I see loads of spicy food, so I must have like done something to my taste buds basically. And I can have Earl Grey, green tea, like anything, any tea, and to me they all taste exactly the same, which is a shame because people love loads of different types of tea and I'm just like, meh, it's tea, it tastes exactly the same to me. I'm not like the biggest fan of it either, so yeah. I hope you enjoyed this and you learned a bit about me. I think that was 50. I hope that was 50. So yeah, bye.